I read the Odyssey for the first time when I was just 10 years old. It was actually after I finished the Lord of the Rings trilogy for the first time, and I felt like going after another epic. That's when I read a whole heck of a lot more than I do now. And so when the Odyssey was announced as a feature-length film created by the Christopher Nolan, I knew that I wanted to see it, and I ended up seeing it on opening night. However, it has been one of the most divisive experiences I've ever had going into the comments on social media after seeing it on opening night. In fact, all the discussions I've seen surrounding this film have been filled what I presume are people who saw the film and are deciding to lie about their experience, or people who have not seen the film are once again deciding to lie about their experience and having seen the film and lie about what's in the film itself. Because of course you can have your own subjective opinion about this movie going into it. It can be a 1 of 10 to you, it can be a 9 of 10 to you, but all the talk I've seen about it are just so focused on a few specific things. And I wanted to kind of break down as to why I think this film has been so polarizing. And it really synthesizes down to one thing: expectations. I went into this film with very few expectations aside from, okay, this is going to be an adaptation of Homer's Odyssey. It's going to have a variety of different Greek myths and tales flooded into it. It's going to be something that's created thousands of years after the original myth was told by a new director with a new cast of characters. And it's not going to be a beat by beat retelling of the story. And the characters, they might not look the same, they might not sound the same, and they might have different motivations because this is a modern retelling. My mind was very open, as it usually is to a lot of things, before I come to my own decision. I try not to let outside influences change my opinion, especially before I've experienced something for myself. But I, of course, noticed before the film came out, it seemed like this was already happening, including by several creators and influencers online that I follow. People had already made a determination about this movie before it came out, mostly due to the casting decisions by the director. Now, I will say, one of the casting decisions I think does take you out of the film several times, even though there's very little screen time for the character. The other ones, no issue at all in the film itself. It's a movie about a Greek myth, and none of the people are actually Greek. Anyway, back to the expectation setting. A lot of people seem to have gone into this movie already with their mind made up. Maybe they saw it, maybe they didn't. But when they went in, it seems like a lot of people thought this was just going to be a beat-by-beat retelling of the Odyssey by Homer, the epic poem, the book, whatever, and it would have the same structure, the same characters, the exact same motivations as it has for the last several thousand years. And even then, different adaptions, different translations of it over the years have had differences. And I expected that with the film. This is like I think it's 11 books or something. It's a very long story. There's no way that the director and the cast were going to be able to pack every single story beat in there. They had to make decisions on what to include, what to cut, and how to adapt it. Now, I thought that's just implicit. But a lot of people seem to go in thinking it has to be like this, and if it's not like this, I am going to hate it, and I'm going to spread that hate everywhere. Okay? I could relate this to Path of Exile 2 in a way, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave that out of there, okay? So I went in, and we're going to get into spoilers now. Spoilers for the Odyssey. A lot of people went in thinking, okay, this is going to be the classic hero's journey. Odysseus is blessed by the gods. Okay, of course, he pisses off Poseidon, and because of that, he has a long journey home, blah, 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 okay? But it's still just that it's a Greek myth, and it's, the the Greeks invade Troy and sack Troy because they're the good guys and they were happy about it. And it was this beautiful destruction of the city. And Christopher Nolan has a bit of a different take on that. This film is very anti-war. This film is very... It explains the effects of war on individuals, and the focus of that is in Odysseus. And the reason the film kind of hints at, I think, well, slaps in your face. Okay, slaps in your face, I think. But people are saying this is not obvious, so maybe it's not obvious. I think it slaps in your face. The reason that Odysseus has this extended Odyssey coming from Troy to Ithaca is because it's self-imposed. He chooses to go a different direction. He chooses to have all these things happen to him. It's not just the gods causing this. It's Odysseus not ready to go home because of the terrible things he did and he saw in Troy. The Trojan horse and sack of Troy sequences were the best in the film, alongside the final act with the suitors. And it showcases that Odysseus is extremely guilty about what he did, that he was the genius that thought of the plan to build the Trojan horse and violate Zeus's law, giving the Trojans a gift and then turning on them and killing everyone in their city. All the civilians, all the priests, all the soldiers completely desecrate the city. And he had extreme guilt about this, and he wasn't ready to come home and face what he had done. That's what the film is about. So he essentially has PTSD. He has extreme guilt about the terrible things he's done in war, because war is hell. I say all this because this is the main message of the movie, I think, and I give the movie a 9 out of 10. Okay, I originally gave it a 7 out of 10, but upon pondering over the message of the film, the construction of the film, the fact that almost all the sets are real. It's not a green screen. There's not a sound stage. When they are going to Polyphemus, okay, they're in a real cave. How sick is that? When they're on the boats, insanity. They're actually on boats on the ocean. I know this is this is an anomaly in today's world of movies, seriously. And as I started to compare it to all these other films, and yeah, sure, the dialogue takes you out. Sure, one of the characters is, I don't think it matches the story. It sticks out like a sore thumb. But despite all of that, it's such a well-constructed narrative. It's non-linear. It hits all the major beats. It adapts all these different parts of the Odyssey in a unique way. And the overall message, while I think different from the original message of the Odyssey, unless, I have not read it in quite some time. Maybe I need to reread it. Was not war is hell. It was not that the Greeks were the cause of the beginning of the fall of the Bronze Age, because they violated the promise of civilization, and they broke customs and norms and caused those norms and customs to be broken all across their land, right? I don't think that was the original message. I think it was a very hopeful and happy message. And, he got home and he was the hero. He was the good guy, right? And he still is to an extent in this movie, of course, with the suitors and all, but he still has all this baggage. And I love that message. I really do love that message. Call me a hippie, whatever, but war is hell. War does terrible things to the people who commit war, to the people who suffer through war. And I thought that was a novel message and an interesting take on the Odyssey that I personally have not seen, or I didn't ascertain from the books or from any other representation. The miniseries I saw, I think it's like from 1996 to 1997. I don't think it had that representation. I saw one old movie about it. I don't think it was called The Odyssey. I think it was called Ulysses, which is a different... Odysseus and the Ulysses, the same thing. I really enjoyed this film. And I think that the big problem, and the reason it's so divisive, is because so many people thought it would just be beat for beat, and they hate that it was a different take on the Odyssey, and it wasn't their Odyssey, which I think is just hilarious, because in this age of film and television and even gaming, everybody is telling developers and creators, do something new. Have a different message. Don't just repeat what's been done over and over. Stop with the remakes. Stop with the remakes of remakes. Stop reskinning the same movie over and over with the same message. Don't do that. And then when Christopher Nolan goes and does exactly this with the Odyssey, he takes this myth from thousands of years ago that has been retold many different times, but essentially in the same way, and he puts a modern spin on it with his own message that definitely tracks with the source material, okay? Everybody gets up in arms about it. I literally have not seen this level of vitriol and fury about a film. I've been on the internet for quite some time. I have not seen people at each other's throats about this before, to this degree. And the amount of lying about the film is also just insane. And just, you can interpret things differently, but the number of creators, of just commenters, of reviewers, just telling blatant lies about the Odyssey is shocking. So I encourage you, you might give it a 1 out of 10, but I would encourage you to either go see this movie in theaters, or if you don't want to, if you think you disagree with the message or disagree with the casting choices, whatever, you don't want to give it money, watch it when it comes out on a streaming service. I highly recommend it. The theater experience, though, is phenomenal. I didn't really talk about that in this video, but the sound especially, incredible. So go ahead, go watch it. I recommend the Odyssey, and that's why I think so many people are up in arms about it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe if you did. I'll talk to you later.